miles away there.
And then
As far as-
everybody else pick a number, or,
Depends on time.
Yeah, I would say,
right,
function of time.
And all the out of towners, it depends on time.
great.
You know, I'm not trying to
Yeah, no
cut them off.
filibustering. So, okay, so then that leads to the next question for, what do we wanna give for time range for people to talk?
A minute.
Do we want to have people sign up ahead of time?
I think having a sign-up list would be a good idea, because we'll
Then
get,
we can divide the time up depending on how many people want to speak.
well, that's true.
Question, when they speak, are you gonna ask them to talk on the whole thing, or do you think you're gonna go like, we'll go through Article 1?
No, what do you wanna do?
I don't know, I've been thinking maybe to split it into articles, and, if anybody wants to talk on 1, or anybody wants to talk on 2.
I wouldn't necessarily go down to the low article level, I mean,
I don't know, I just.
because an article, like, there's some articles that, like, nobody will care about anyway.
Right.
The whole thing is nobody's gonna be really have read this anyway before the meeting.
Did you pick up Rick's paperwork the other night? Who took it?
I did,
Oh, you do have it.
yes.
So we do need the shoreline part,
He has one suggestion for shoreline, yes.
and this is something, okay, all right, we gotta, yeah. We'll probably talk about that in the middle week meeting.
Yeah.
So I wish I would've got that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, well, but it has been approved by DEP for the 2 towns it's been put in.
All right, so anyway, so
Otis and one
back
other.
to this, so you're thinking about, taking a head count, or actually going back to yours discussion, Vern. I mean-
The DEP does do that, where they have a check-in list, and then the board can see exactly where they're going with it and what their time frame is. Works real well.
Well, we have a check-in list, I could have an in-check list or whatever, they could do it, and, I could make like
What articles they wanna talk about?
well, that's what I was just thinking, I could just do
Yeah, that's fine.
a grid, okay, and then they can just check off what they wanna talk about, and then we can group them together. Then that way, instead of having somebody come up and talk about, the subdivision part or whatever, and then somebody talk about, flood zoning or whatever, and then wind, and then back around, we can kind of group them.
I like to see a major snowstorm come list.
It's gonna be 50 next week, but.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
So, okay, maybe.
What's that?
You're making a shaft or something, letting you go.
I went out Sunday, get some last year's.
So, what do you think that let's maybe have like 4 or 5 major topic areas. Don't do it by article, it's just too difficult. So maybe one of them might be, because some of the things we made major changes in, we made some changes in procedures. So I think procedures,
Okay.
would that be a topic?
Yeah, here's one other idea. When they sign in, just have them write down what article they want to talk
Well, that's what we're talking about, but I don't know if you go down to the article level, if that's really gonna make as much sense, because some of them are tied together anyway.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm thinking about.
Subject level.
At the topic level, so we changed the processes around quite a bit. So if I'm thinking about, the planning board process would be a topic.
As long as you keep them bunched together.
Wind will be a topic,
Yeah.
shoreline might be a topic, maybe on,
That one,
that's state law, so.
Yeah, I don't think wind is gonna be, or excuse me, shoreline is gonna be a topic because we didn't change anything and everybody knows there's nothing you can do about it.
And it's the second most contentious issue.
actually, we haven't had that big a problem with shoreline.
Well, people have gotten used to it some now, but think back in past years.
I don't want,
You still have the problem of so many small lots, and
Yeah.
people are squeezed in. I mean, they might as well be in Bangor.
I don't think that was that close in a lot of places.
Yeah, well, no, you're right. Well, yeah, I'm thinking of some cities, though,
Yeah,
I remember, let's see, when visiting some people like in Providence, I mean, the lots are 50 feet wide, and you've probably got from here to that wall to the back line behind the house. And the houses aren't that big.
In Oro, they had to get they had to go to the neighbors and get a written permission to go on their lawn, to go on their lot to build the house. That's how big the house lots are in Oro.
So,
So I'm gonna make up like, basically like cut sheets. You know, they're gonna have a place for like their name, and then they'll be able to just check the square, voter, landowner, state agency, etc., and the towns. And towns are gonna be Otis, Eddington, Amherst, other, okay? And then, next to it, they can check off, you know, whether they wanna talk about process, wind, the, site plan and subdivision, the new sections, medical marijuana and drug treatment, there might be some comments about that. And I was gonna mention something about that in a second, and then other. So there's 5 areas.
Yeah.
Can you think of anything else that might,
You may want to have a kind of a miscellaneous.
that's what other is?
Yeah, other, I need more. Are you gonna put a total limit on the length of the overall meeting? Because that may,
Well, I know, we haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but we're gonna get there, promise. The thing with the drug clinics, yesterday there was a big meeting in Brewer, at the, or maybe it was in Bangor, and it was about crime. It was the local chamber of commerce, and it was about crime and the impact on the local population and how much it costs and things like that. And one of the major topics of it was drug abuse, etc. And they did talk about the need for a lot more treatment. The governor has talked a little bit about it. You know, everybody seems to be talking about it. So just in the back of my mind, I mean, I have definitely not, don't think this is like I've heard any rumors, but I definitely have not. But I am concerned, you know, that they are going to farm some of these outlaying areas, okay, because there's a big emphasis being put on some of the, I know it being things that bother you but really don't cost that much compared to everything, but people riding in cabs from areas like Clifton and Amherst and Otis, you know, and getting 4 users in a cab and having them all go in, and then they all get to bill their mileage to the treatment clinic, you know, and et cetera. And so there's a discussion about that. So I don't think it's out of the realm that somebody would want to put something out here. Just, you know, and I just,
you don't want to know my idea of treatment.
I'm trying to be reasonable about this and try to fit in with the modern culture here. All right, so, and we'll talk about 2 elements of time here. First of all, how long do you guys want to hold this hearing? I mean, the plan is to start it at 6 o'clock. By 6:30, you know, we should be into the hearing.
8:30.
2 hours, is that all you want to give it? You want to give it till 9?
It depends, well, no, the reason why I said 8:30, then it gives us a half hour to wind down.
I was gonna say 10.
Well, that's actually not bad, but go ahead.
I was gonna say 10 is an outside. I don't wanna cut anybody off that really has something to say.
I'd rather err on having it too long than too short.
As much as we'll be tired by the end, I think it's important to give as many people as possible.
Be criticized.
And if we've got a lot of people, we're gonna have to limit how long each one gets to talk.
So we want to plan on, well, I do kind of think what Gerald's mentioning, maybe 8:30 is too soon because it might cut people off. Maybe if we said 9:30, but I think Gerald has a point about having like a half an hour at the end to kind of summarize or settle things or whatever, you know, and also that could also help us to get ready for the meeting in 2 weeks after that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think kind of, that's probably a good idea to have that thing. So the actual hearing part will be from 6:30 to 9:30 will be the
Well,
plan.
that'll be the public
The
comment.
public comment phase,
Questions,
right,
say.
okay. So those will be public comments, and then, you know, 9:30 to 10 will be, you know, wrapping up.
more
Well,
difficult issues.
I would call it public comment and specific question period.
Hang on.
Do you allow rebuttals or?
Well, that's just where I was gonna go next. Hold that thought. That's exactly what I want to talk about. You're like reading my mind or something here. So, how do you want to do that?
I think if somebody has padded their comments, wants to ask a question, we should attempt to answer.
Well, how will that, on one hand, I mean, that might have some merit, but how will that take away from the next person's opportunity to speak if we have a limited time?
If you get into date, you might lengthen it.
Well, yeah, no,
This is a consideration.
right, well, it's either that, or if they have a question, we're going to have to, the other option is to say, we will answer that question either in writing or personally, whichever you prefer, afterwards.
Not afterwards, but not personally afterwards. I think it would be, if you, the
Well,
choices
if
are
they
you.
come into the meeting, if they come into a meeting, publicly, not, when I say personally, not one-on-one, I mean, or orally or written, whichever they would prefer. The only disadvantage of that is that you're not going to be presenting that answer to everyone that's there.
Well, I would prefer, to be honest with you, if they ask a question in public, I would prefer to write down the answer to them.
Okay,
Unless we answer it right there, unless we agree that's what we're gonna do. But the issue is, if they ask a question and we start answering it, and we want people to speak, it could easily, if the answer is a long, complicated answer or whatever, I mean, it could take a lot of time.
then let's put it that we will supply written answers afterwards to that individual.
Well, I'd
And
like to do it
it'll be
here.
a public answer.
Okay, one other thing is I'd like to see it, if they're gonna want a question like that, I'd like to see it in writing.
That's something, I'm glad you brought that up, because I had forgotten about that. I agree. I was thinking, if people do have questions, because maybe they don't like to put it here, or they haven't made the questions in the notebook, that thing is still empty, and look at it today, but, it would be nice to have them write their questions down, and we can answer them.
And bring the notebook in and ask them to please write their question.
That's what we can do. We can bring a notebook in.
Pass it around, yeah.
Yeah, after they ask their question orally, would they please write the question out in that notebook?
But they might not do that.
Because most of the people has got their questions already written down anyway, before they get up.
Well, some do, but some don't. Some people don't think as much. I tend to do my thinking while writing, but I know a lot of people don't work that way. They work just the opposite.
So we can encourage people to bring questions in writing.
Yes.
The only problem with that is that nobody's gonna know that ahead of time. That's why if we bring the
Well,
notebook in.
I'll bring a notebook in. I'm hoping, I'm hoping at least within a day or two, this isn't gonna work out as well, this particular one as if they could, but I have something up about what this protocol will be, so people will be able to see it, maybe print something out. They can go and have it done when they get there, and then we'll also have sheets at the door, so that they all have a couple different options. And hopefully have this kind of written out for how we're gonna do it.
Right. If they want the comment to be anonymous, that's fine too, as long as they give it to us in writing, we will put a written response.
Right. But if they're gonna stand up at the microphone, so to speak, I need to have their name and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would prefer that people would give a name.
Well, at the mic, it's pretty much you have to.
Right.
I don't know of any time, I've never been to any hearing in Augusta or any town or whatever, when you came up to speak, that you could just,
You had to say where you were from,
right,
your name, where you're from.
right, that's all you have to give. You don't have to give all other stuff. But
Do we know if anybody's looking at a website?
You know what, I haven't looked at the web stats in a while, I've been too busy doing this other stuff. I do know that, for a while, I should go back and take a peek at them, that, they were getting looked at, from as far away as, New York and stuff like that. And now there's been a lot of posts on there, it actually would be kind of interesting to see where we're getting hits from. Maybe in a few minutes, I might be able to figure out how to do it on this computer to go find it. Okay, put questions in writing. Okay, so back to the speaking part. I mean, are we thinking like 5 minutes?
It depends on how many people see it.
The targeting a number?
Seems like 5 minutes, right?
I would think most people should be able to get their point across in 5 minutes.
So we won't want people speaking typically more than 5 minutes. You know, and if there's extra time, then they can, if we get through everybody or whatever, let's say for some reason only like 10 people show up, you know, and everybody takes their 5 minutes, then you're welcome to come back up because we'll stay here and, you know, we
Absolutely,
can be flexible, but I mean, the target time may be 5 minutes.
yeah, up front. I think that's good. And then, as you say, if only a few people actually get up and speak, there's no reason at all why they can't get up again.
That's right, I don't have a problem with that. I just want to make sure everybody who wants to speak.
And if we
has a
had that few people actually asking questions, we may be able to do most of the answering right then. That's, at this point, can't count on it. You
Right.
have 100
Well, that's why I'm trying to have the people to think through the contingencies of this so that, you know, everybody kind of knows where we're going. So,
You've been to a lot more of this stuff than we have, Dave. What do you think of that?
I thought he did.
When this is done, then everything to actually go over it, and actually, does the town hire somebody to go through it?
Well, actually, what we're, like I mentioned last week, apparently stenographers, by the time you get down all the expenses, they're like in the $400 an hour range. So my thought was, you know, Bruce and I had a little bit of play. I was getting tired and cranky into the night there, but I think if both Debbie and Kathy take notes, you know, and if you take notes, if you have like 2 pieces of paper to keep notes on, you know, one where you're just keeping like whatever your personal little things are that you might want to keep track of, like Bruce said he wanted to keep track of like what time people made comments so that it was easier to go back and forth in the video.
Yeah, if it's something I want to answer, I'm gonna put down the time, that's time stamped, and then I can go back.
Can you make sure that the timestamp is on when you do that? Great.
Because that way there, I know I do it on videos at home, instead of having to look through the whole thing, it's
There's all the bylaws.
Find
and
the
stuff.
question.
Yes,
I need somebody that actually goes through every one of them to make sure.
Say that again.
yes, to answer your question, yes, we'll be sending this off to MMA before we get it finalized.
Right, that's why we want to have these hearings. So,
To answer your question,
They did.
yes.
But they did that before though, right?
Yeah.
They found
well,
all
no,
mistakes.
they didn't.
Yeah.
Only parts of it went in.
Well, yeah.
That's what I was trying to get at.
The problem is, MMA is not gonna go over it with the same sort of detail as you could hire a lawyer to. And I can guarantee you, if one lawyer looks at it, another one will look at it and read something different.
Oh, yeah.
That's the downside.
But MMA is our legal
Mhm.
advisor, Maine Municipal Association.
I mean, that was just like a guy I used to work for who got sued by an employee, and he had one of the really good individual lawyers in town. And when they took a look at the employee, he said, no, says, I'm sending you over to Redmond and Winchell. And he says he'd already spent like $50,000, and they hadn't even got through the discovery phase yet, just to.
It's, as he said, you know, you gotta find, everybody's gonna have a different opinion.
Yeah.
We've already done this, so how the heck do I get in here? I used to know how to do this. Anyway, let's just keep going on this and I'll play with this in a few minutes.
See, the problem is, it's all based, a lot of it's based on case law. And to actually look up everything and find all the possible applicable case law, both on both sides of an argument.
There, track search, traffic.
It's just on hot.
Which way had you signed in?
Yeah, I am signed in because my little, see where Clifton, Maine, there, that's all in there. And under sites, my tools. Hang on a second, let me go back. I know I signed this up, because I looked at it once, quite a while back. Wait, hang on. See, I'm signed in.
Okay, well, the other way of telling is if you go to like public comments, you can write in things that they're
Oh,
highlighted.
yeah, no, I can't, like if I, you're right, so I have to go, I mean, I know I am, because these are my toolbars for making, editing it.
Yep, okay, yeah, you're signed in. So where again do you look at the analytics?
Yeah, right, so that's what I thought you could do it here. Hang on a second, let's figure out here. So I've been here, I recognize the page a little bit.
All website, that you're looking for?
So, moving
The
on
question
to
is how many of those are ours?
Yeah.
that. I know. All right. So we're only getting 18% new visitors.
Not 53 unique visitors.
There you go. That means they got there and it was a mistake.
Well, the good thing about unique means at least, because I know you and I.
Hey, look,
have
mostly
been there
kids.
several times.
25 to 34.
I don't know how it would know that for me.
I'm gonna
Big brother.
That's right, man. His friends are doing this for you.
I was in the fire column, I think.
So I don't know, so it's not really enough, there's not really enough data going on there to,
No, I find the idea that there's 53 unique people have looked. I mean, there's only 5 or 6 of us.
hey, look, people from Alaska are looking at us.
They're very relatives.
Well, no, that's just all United States. So anyway, so it's on there, it doesn't look like it's that terribly interesting, maybe I'll try to figure out.
If you click on the United States, it doesn't bring it up by individual state.
No, I was hoping it was gonna. Well, yeah, it
It
says.
does. Man, you
Well,
gotta
there.
dig into it for, oh,
Oregon?
Oregon. Holy mackerel.
Oklahoma.
Oregon, Florida, Oklahoma.
Wisconsin.
North Carolina.
Well, there you go.
Huh.
And then if you either click on any one of those states, 177,
1.
3.
You know what, those might be bounces from when I downloaded stuff from different states. Those might be bounces, who knows?
Yes, those are supposed to be different individuals, or.
It could be. From Keystone Heights.
We're not allowed to speak.
Yeah.
Because it could be relatives of people that live. Now, if you click on names, does it show?
177.
We got some downstate.
Sanford, Biddeford. Oh, South Portland. Portland. And Hollow will go.
So there's some interest from,
So they might be here, Vern. You better have a chat.
Interesting, none from Augusta, the state?
Yeah, no, back up a little bit here.
Any state agencies?
No, it looks like the state isn't modeling their stuff
I think
after
they're
us.
too much busy trying to just figure out how to.
Belfast
balance
got 51 visits. Camden got 8 visits. Waterville got a visit. Winthrop got a visit. Hey, nothing from actually in Augusta.
Surprise.
Yeah, well, we're probably going through servers. The other thing is, don't forget, this is a little bit of a misnomer, because probably some of these servers people go off of aren't really necessarily in Bangor. The servers could be downstate too.
Well, the only question about that is, I think my satellite comes back to Texas.
Right. So
But it didn't show Texas. When I go to a lot of sites new, I'll be given Texas information because
well, there we
I
go.
set it for, because that's where the satellite download point is, and that's where it feeds into the internet, is from the Texas site.
Well,
Portland must be the hub for it.
right, so this is like, tells you how many times per visit and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting.
Configuration looks.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that.
Someone's other than his cursory or they're actually doing research or something on it.
Right.
A lot of them are, what, 2, 3, 4, what's the longest, 10 minutes?
Yeah, it looks like from Bangor.
Sanford's got 6.5.
So it's kind of interesting.
Biddeford's got
One of the
7.
cameras, 4 seconds.
Waterville's got 7.
That was a mistake.
Well, several people have looked at several pages, so it wasn't just an accident.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be, like media in Bangor or.
Well, that's true too. I mean, I have
Yeah,
absolutely no
but take a
idea.
look at Biddeford, Waterville, 7.5 pages average per visit.
Yeah, wow.
Wyndham, 4 pages average.
Well, there. So now you know.
Okay.
Okay, back to the meeting. Let's finish this up here. So we're gonna target 5 minutes, make notebooks available. We have the little sheets I'm gonna try to make up. It's gonna go till 10 o'clock. We're gonna have Kathy and Debbie note keep. Plus we'll have the video available at some point. Because the other thing is, even on the video, Bruce, if they have something that's really, actually what I was getting to earlier, we have 2, I was talking about the sets of notes. If you guys have a notes of questions that you definitely, you make a comment or you want something emphasized or whatever, okay, maybe what you can do on that thing is you can pass that to Kathy and Debbie, then later on, they can make a point of making sure that gets written into these things. Because at some point, it's probably not realistic to ask them to do a transcript of like all the entire thing. Okay, because that's not. But I don't mind having them do a summary. So if they can keep some minutes, and put together a summary of what happened or a summary of the comments or whatever, and actually, whoever had that idea of grouping them together over there was as far as by articles or whatever, but maybe even smaller, that will actually help them because if you look through some of these comments, if you go over to this page, it's actually the reason I put this Oregon page up there. Not being an expert in this sort of thing. It's interesting to see.
Oh yeah, I know the one you're talking about. That one I pretty much just scanned down through. Yeah.
I just want to pull it up real quick if I can find it.
I don't remember what the name of it was though. question and answers, right down one?
It could be,
Okay, it was,
no,
where did you go? I saw something about questions and answers.
Oh, right there. One
that was
has
from
another-
Denmark, that's not the right one.
No. But it was Florida.
You know, now I'm annoyed.
Where's Douglas County? No, it's Colorado. Still in Colorado?
No, positive Oregon.
I thought it was. That rang a bell.
What the hell? I didn't even see it there.
Did you put it further down by any chance? Not otherwise, but. In the public interest, would that be it?
No. Now I'm really annoyed.
I did see one up there from Oregon.
Yeah, you know what I could maybe do? If I could have a menu bar here, I could look for it.
And the search.
Where is it?
Up in, down low and across from Clifton main planning board.
On the right.
Down,
Yeah.
down, right there.
Ah, that was it right there.
Good, good. You're hired. I'll turn over my computer keys to you.
You know how to operate a camera?
Exactly. So anyway, it was pretty interesting. You know, basically they went through and they have it all kind of grouped in, you know, like cumulative effects, common interest, etc.
I remember when we flew into Oregon a couple of years ago, you passed over a couple of wind farms, I had a couple of hundred turbines spread out under there.
But this is the gist of what I was trying to get across. Well, this is the table I had in there too, actually it's for FYI. I mean, this is kind of, if you look at this, I mean, this is actually kind of roughly how we ended up looping and grouping stuff, and I think it naturally takes you to where you want to be. So that's what I was talking about earlier. So, anyway. That was the concept. So, any other like suggestions or whatever for how I want to do this?
Yeah.
I think you pretty much got it covered, until we see how many people are here, you can't,
You've been through 2 or 3 of these already. They went pretty good.
Yeah.
do you need to set up a podium or?
Well, the other, I guess, final question here, probably, you know, maybe we can set up, like, over on that side of the room, you know, on the corner, we can all kind of crunch into the table, you know, to let the maximum amount of space available for people. You know, I'm not planning on running those, I'm only planning on putting the slides up there for the, you know, that first 20 minutes, and I'm planning on being pretty much done with the computer.
Well, what happens if someone wants to make a presentation and slides or so?
Well, if they do, then they're gonna have to, they should send them in advance, and then we'll load them. Because that's not really, because that's actually, the reason I really don't wanna do that okay, is because that's why I have 15 minutes available, two 15-minute slots available for every one of these meetings. And if somebody were to come and make a presentation, and I would have posted their slides for them. So actually, no, we're not gonna do that. Now that you mention it, that's why every single week, they've had time to do that. That was the purpose of that, so that they don't get squished into 5 minutes to say something that's important.
You're gonna have Rick, recording it too? Is he got written on here? You're talking
Well,
about,
that'd be a good idea,
How you
just
talking
in
about,
case of technical issues.
You know, you can talk to them, and you can detail that with Rick, make a phone call, and then you two can coordinate. Then that way you can figure out where you're gonna put the camera. So anyway, put the table over on this side, get all the chairs set up over here. I mean, do we wanna set, where, and then have, the podium? We don't really have a podium. I wish we did have like a little podium. Someone would have built one, that'd be great, sir.
that was a very big one at the church.
I think we're just gonna have to ask them to stand at one spot,
Yeah.
so that.
Well, you know what we can do, it's comfortable for people to be able to talk also, we can use that, people typically use the voting box, that's what we've always used in the past. We can put the voting box up, but maybe somebody can volunteer to make who's good with wood, can make a little podium for us. Just to sit on a desktop.
Next cruise.
A lectern. So we'll set that like over on the table over there so they can kind of address us, but then that way they can have access to the audience too. So they're not having everything at their back. So kind of remember that next week, so get here early and set that up. Anything else?
What if there's only a couple speakers and we finish at 7?
Go home and have a beer.
Yeah.
That's probably not gonna happen.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
I can't think of anything.
Last chance.
Are we?
It's going twice, gone.
So,
Okay, go ahead, Dave.
so we have a follow-on hearing, so people will have for rebuttals and things like that. And the assumption be that the following hearing is where people can make rebuttals.
Right, what we can do, this is what the plan would be, first, so then, the middle week meeting, what that would be all about, would be, basically, kind of just, regrouping ourselves, trying to take these comments, you know, and have them organized, however they were, and then, you know, a little bit of discussion about, you know, if it was strongly one way or another, and kind of making some decisions, you know, and even though we wouldn't necessarily, you know, have a reprint of the ordinance, you know, what we would do is we'll say, well, we're gonna go into 4.9 and do thus and so, or whatever, you know what I mean? And then that's gonna happen in the next weeks after that, because then what happens after that is we have, we'll go look at the schedule, because we publish what we're gonna do.
No, I've got one other one.
Hang on, let's just finish this thought first. So, what's gonna happen is, we're gonna, you know, there's gonna be that middle week, okay, where you're just gonna discuss the responses and things like that, and then there's gonna be another hearing, okay, and that's if we're gonna make any changes or big changes, or, you know, how we're gonna look at things then. And then there's gonna be another public hearing, okay, and then there's gonna be, you know, this is like last chance, is April 23rd, for any external presentations, you know, or comments, you know, it's gonna be that, you know, those two little 15-minute blocks that we have been having right along. You know, and then from then on, you know, we actually have to make like a little schedule for like the next couple of weeks after that, you know, so it's official. But we're gonna come in here and we're gonna have paper documents passing around, because by the 16th, and I'm hoping maybe even a week earlier, if we can really get our act together, you know, it's all gonna be, you know, paper copies in the town office.
Just down the road, but we have any sense of what MMA's turnaround time is?
Well, we're gonna start getting them fairly soon. They'll take a little bit of time. They're only really gonna look at that site area. They're not gonna look at very much. They're not very good at that stuff. They're good at shoreline zoning. They will look at subdivision law. They will look a little bit at the process. They're gonna look at our little decision on the appeals board thing.
Process is a big thing that
That's what they're gonna spend a lot of time on, the process. And they'll, and the shoreline thing, we're gonna tell them that it's the same as it was before, and they're gonna go, okay. And they're, that's not gonna be, because they won't, but that's what their expertise is. They're not, their expertise is not in wind projects and things like that, but they are good at process.
The town's got a track record of dealing with them on.
Yeah, we do, yeah, they call them like we do.
Okay, now here comes one question I'm gonna throw it at you. Has Rick got any permits or anything else we can look at for Tuesday night? Or Wednesday night?
No, it's closed, done,
What's that?
nothing.
Okay,
And time for submissions is over.
no tomorrow.
No, 9 days. Tomorrow's 5 days.
Tomorrow. Yeah, I know.
Yes, in 7 days.
I know, he would have already looked at it by
I'm
Wednesday,
leaving
so.
on June 10th.
I figured that.
I'm going to that. But at least I'll stay long enough to vote.
You can vote and have to leave.
I'll get it arranged, so we'll vote and head to the plane.
Where you at?
Alaska.
I'm going to Alaska.
Oh,
We're not for a wedding.
Go ahead. Anything else? All right, let's pick it up.
Sounds good.
did you say
One
no?
state I would like to visit.
It's really up.
Did enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My wife lived down there, because she had her
I
daughter
gotta make
and
the Alaska
son-in-law.
connotation. My wife quickly informed
They
me
were,
that's not an option on the table.
just there somewhere.
I said, well, what cold
Well,
weather?
it's in the Anchorage area.
The thing is,
She's been to a couple of
if I
them.
go to Alaska.
That's also the one area
North
we're considering taking a cruise
Or
to.
the Prudhoe Bay,
They were all done.
It's far away
A
from.
little pricey from here, but if I ever had to spare cash, then yes.
I'm sure I'd say.
My son.
Yeah, cheap for it.
No, it wouldn't have. I can find out.
Yes, you're 100%. There's some good stuff to do with that.
Just to see that run.
Okay, we'll hit it again.
Well, I literally walked a lot down there after I went on. That time, maybe half dozen. Hours we stop one. You know,
Yeah, old Howard, I guess.
No, well, yeah, I should.
I don't see anything.
Does the camera pick up sound pretty good?
Yeah, actually, if you want to get the camera, I can show you what last night's sounded, you'll get to.
Okay, I'm just curious.
My guess is the low res is good enough for what we need.
Actually, it was pretty good. In fact, I can bring it up in a second.
This new stuff is so good.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Hope I showed it all. I'm sorry.
No, I'm still learning this, by the way.
Get the whole thing.
You've got a file of one, right?
You guys
Yeah.
won't reload that time and unload.
Okay.
Okay, I've got 3 accounts, the planning board, town, and admin.
But you've got the actual file somewhere here.
I did.
What we just looked at?
I did.
So much, the ones you copied.
Yeah, right here.
I want to see what the extension
Don't they
is.
do a little now?
Probably.
I haven't posted it in a week. No, this is the only one.
This can't,
That computer, we can get a copy of it.
So you have that computer to do that?
No, you can put it on a flash drive or whatever.
Oh, yeah, yeah, okay.